What is up, YouTube? Back in this video, we're talking about the simple hacks for weight gainers, for hard gainers who want to put on size, put on mass, gain weight. Here's the deal, right? Today we're getting a little bit of a walk-in, getting in our steps. Nothing too crazy, you know? It's got a nice sunny day to it. But yeah, so far we're gonna be talking about the few simple things that hard gainers really need to focus on towards getting big. Let's get into it. So the first thing, numero uno, is actually learning how to actually gain weight. And first and foremost, this topic is really based on a calorie surplus. So we all know by now, if you want to gain weight, you got to be in a surplus. To lose weight, it's a deficit, right? But we talking about a surplus. So to be in a calorie surplus, it's all about eating more, right? Eating more foods, increasing your intake of calories consumed versus calories out. So how many calories are you actually consuming in a day versus how many calories do you burn through AKA walking, cardio, or through any other basic activity in which you burn calories, right? So I think if you really put into consideration how do you consume more calories, because it really is a simple concept. It's not relatively difficult to understand. In order to actually consume more, you can actually have smaller meals, whether it's 5 to 6, individually split it throughout your day, which has your high protein intake in it, right? Obviously, if there's no protein in it, then you're not going to be able to gain weight as well as maintain it. So protein is an important quality source to create long-term growth. The second thing is I find that carbs help to maximize your performance in progressive overload training, muscle recovery. So by focusing on where you're at right now and meeting where your body is actually responding. So if you actually are comfortable with consuming 2 to 3 meals per week, right, then it obviously really isn't enough depending upon how much you eat per meal. So ideally 4 is the bare minimum. 2 around 6 meals a day is where you want to actually start to be consistent in your meals every single day. And if you can do just that, you're going to be able to actually experience more growth in that area. Now, when it comes to increasing a meal intake, it's not going to be easy at first, because let's be real, none of us enjoy having to shove food down our throat every second of the day. I don't either, but the gains is what matters at the end of the day. If you're growing, that's the only thing that matters. So if you actually struggle at first, I encourage you, implore you to just start small with 2 or 3 meals a day, what you basically are comfortable with. Then the next week, the next 2 weeks, you focus more on actually increasing the strength, increasing your growth for that area. So you want to focus more on that and what it's going to do for you long term, and what you're going to be able to see more change and growth in your life. Number 2, progressive overload training. In all simplicity, what it really is just increasing your strength, prioritizing volume every single chance you get. So when you're in the gym, you got 35-pound dumbbells. Obviously, the goal is to get physically stronger, so you focus on that weight, increase 5 to 10 pounds by every week or every 2 weeks. So when it comes to progressive overload and strength training, we're going to optimize volume and progression to create resistance. Resistance that will actually stimulate muscle breakdown and create actual growth in the muscle, right? So that's the main focus of it, is to actually increase your actual strength training and improve optimization and growth. If you're lifting the exact same pounds every single time you go to the gym, you don't really expect much growth. To expect growth, to expect change, is to expect resistance. Through resistance, we create actual growth. So one can actually fully realize, internalize the idea that every time we step foot in the gym, it's to actually create strength. It should create more an ability to really match that weight, build resistance, and get physically stronger, right? That's the main importance of the goal, is to build resistance so we can get physically stronger and adept to the weights we're actually lifting. A lot of us hard gainers out there, a lot of us skinny guys out there who are just starting our fitness journey, we're just starting to put ourselves out there in a way, right? Well, we end up focusing on the same thing every time, every chance we get. So we're not seeing any progress. Our arms aren't getting bigger, our chest is still flat. There's no cushion on our chest, so we end up thinking it's everything that we do in the gym a waste of complete time, because we don't see any results based on the work we actually put in. However, the work we've yet to put in is nowhere near enough to actually get the growth we desire. So it means you gotta be in the game long enough to become relevant. To be in the game long enough to become relevant is to be in the game long enough until you see a change. It's to be in the game long enough until you see a physical change that gets you more excited to continue the journey. It took me almost a year to see significant changes, right? I'm not gonna lie. I was at it for months and I saw baby results, right? It wasn't that heavy, but it was a little something to keep you a little motivated. But after a year and a half, that's when I actually saw like real changes. It was small, but quite noticeable. So with tip number 2, I want you to understand that to progressively overload in your entire foundation of training. Every time you step foot in the gym, your mindset should be, am I lifting heavier than I was last week? If not, what can I do to lift more, to stimulate more growth, to create more chances of growth and development for me in my physique and my fitness journey, to build muscle, to build mass, to be more confident. At the end of the day, there's one question you got to ask yourself. Did you leave everything out on the gym floor? Did you leave everything? Did you give everything your all to the point as today is gone, you can look back and say, yes, I gave it my all in my own journey towards building mass? If the answer is no, self-reflection is imminent. You got to go back to the board and see what you can do differently to make sure you actually create more change in your life, so you can be more consistent, be more frequent with your life, and create more change you see for yourself. Tip number 2, progressive overload. That's out. You see, the bulking phase isn't meant to be a year or a year and 6 months kind of time frame. Only when someone decides to go on a bulk for that long does it begin to become a problem for an extended cut. So not only does it take more time to actually reveal your progress after a bulk, you end up getting extra unwanted fat as a result of bulking for so long. So ideally 2 to maybe 4 months, 2 to even 3 months. I mean, that's as long as you really need to go to see how much weight you've gained through the actual period, right, through that phase of how long you've been on that time of the bulk for. Then you go back and regress to a cut to see your progress, see how much muscle you're able to retain after going on that time of 2 to 3 months of going on that period. So it's really understanding how to fully optimize your progress while you're going on that phase and what you need to do so you can make the most out of it. Not only is understanding that important, in order to actually make the most out of that period, you want to be sure you're progressively overloading in strength. You're getting physically stronger every week, every 2 weeks at the most. And when you can focus on this every chance you get, when you have this kind of mentality to go in the gym, lift more than what you did yesterday, the day before, it's an entirely different mindset. It's going to keep you more open to self-growth, self-development, building a physique that is more of a foundation as to what you've had years ago when you started your journey of building mass, right? And just understanding that in of itself is going to allow you to create more growth. It's going to allow you to grow more smoothly, more consistently, more progressively. Can't say easier. Never is easy to build the right mindset, the right habits, to work out every day, almost every day you can, stay in shape, or even get your steps in. It just starts with you and what you're going to do today to get better. Did you do everything in your power? Did you do everything you could do today to get stronger physically? If the answer is no, you got work to do. If the answer is yes, props to you. That's the end of this YouTube video. Hardgainers, 3 tips on what the common struggles are for those who can't or struggle to build the muscle. Yeah.